Amidst those freezing temperatures and blackouts, world leaders and international organisations have met in Paris today, pledging over £850 million in urgent winter aid for Ukraine. Well, joining me now to discuss the sheer scale of the challenge ahead, Defence and Security Analyst Professor Michael Clarke. So, Michael, just give us a bit more information about what's being discussed today in Paris.
Yes, quite a big meeting. It's a donors' conference. It began by President Macron saying that the Russians are committing war crimes in targeting civilian facilities. And, of course, analysts like me have been saying that for a while. But when a key leader says it out loud like that, that's quite important. It's a war crime. It's targeting a civilian infrastructure. They're talking about donors. There were not just states involved, 40-odd states, but about 20 international organisations, very important, and also about 500 companies, the sort of companies that will need to get involved in any reconstruction for the country. But, of course, the relentless bombing just goes on, even though this donor conference is meeting under the shadow of this bombing. And this is a NASA photograph of light during the night. This is the light you can see in Europe. And there is Ukraine, almost completely blacked out. There's only one other place in the world where you'd see that, and that's North Korea, which is almost completely blacked out in Asia. But that sort of gives you a sense of just how total this war on Ukraine's infrastructure has really become.
Yeah, it's incredible. Ukraine needs so much in terms of weapons to continue fighting the war, but money to help its people and to rebuild when it can, and to repair constantly as people try to live in the country. We talk about £850 million being pledged today, but various pledges have been made by various different groups of countries, various individual countries. Where are we at in terms of aid? Yeah,
I mean, this is the sort of aid that's been pledged so far. So it's about 110 billion, quite a lot of money. Most of it, you'll see, is financial, which the Ukrainians have to have just to keep going, 5 to 9 billion every month just to keep functioning. And then military aid, which has been delivered, far less in humanitarian aid. And the Ukrainians are complaining, not surprisingly, that this is pledged, but it hasn't all been delivered. And that's always the problem. Pledging is easy, delivering is a bit more complicated, and the Western allies really need to get on with delivering because Ukraine's got to get through the winter. Yeah, 110 billion sounds a lot, but that kind of scale, is it enough? How much more is needed? Well, there's some interesting historical comparisons. I mean, everyone talks about the Marshall Plan after the Second World War. I mean, if you take Ukrainian aid now, the pledged aid is 111 billion. The Marshall Plan, in present-day prices, would be about 134 billion. At the time, it was about $13 billion. So it's about 10 times that amount now. And that was what the Marshall Plan did. What the Ukraine reconstruction is probably in the order of 600 billion. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank said in July they thought it was about 350 billion. Then in December they said they thought it had probably now gone up to 500 or 600 billion. So that's where we are with it now. An immense amount still to do.
Incredible. Michael, thank you, Professor Michael Clarke, there with analysis of what's happening with regard to Ukraine today.